Bradford clearly had to work hard to find positive Mavs stuff from that game because
that's tough.
Stars win, Mavs lose. But looking at both of the teams across the season, they have both had excellent starts to the season. Which one do you think is better suited for success this season? Or the question we need to ask from the 817, are the Stars in it to win it?
Okay, the Stars are in it to win it. I legitimately think that right now.
Yes.
They are the best team set up for the future and for this season's sustainability. They have depth in their, do we say farm system in hockey too? What do we in their minor league system?
Yeah, you can say that.
They have depth there, and the Mavericks, like their depth, maybe it's down the line on their bench, but that's as far as it goes. I will say, Kevin, there were moments last night where I watched Dwight Powell, and I was like, I get it, Mike. Now I really do get it. The Mavericks last night also decided they didn't want to play defense still.
Agreed.
And they were very
the fourth
passive.
quarter, they didn't want to play at all.
Yeah, and the Pelicans were very aggressive defensively, and that converted into points. And the Mavericks fell behind early and just never were able to do it. And so when I look at both of these teams, the Mavericks are kind of, they could be a great team competing for the Western Conference Finals. They also could very well be at the bottom of the playoff grouping, but I mean, that's the way the Western Conference is too. The Western Conference is brutal. Stars have built a fantastic team with full season sustainability and sustainability beyond next year and the next 3 or 4 years because of what their core is. And now, Kevin, last night, line 2 with Matt Duchene and Sagan.
What a revelation Duchene continues to be.
And it's livened Sagan up. You know, like it did last night. You saw some really good plays from him last night, too. And so seeing that combination, that's the Stars are at a point now where they're like, let's just add a veteran to this team. And if we need to add another one, we can. But we're really good. So that's where I look at this and I'm like, man, the Stars, the future is bright with them, where you don't know with Kyrie, you don't know with Luka how much longer you have with them. Even this season could be a moment where they just go, I'm done. I'll see you later.
So I'm going to go with the Stars as well, but I do have a question. If the Stars have the dude and how important you think that is in hockey. And what I mean by that is the Mavericks have the dude that you can build a franchise around in Luka, right? And I know the Stars look at Robertson, Heiskanen, Ottinger. Those are all dudes you can build around. But do you think they have a guy that is like an unquestioned top 5 or 6 player in the league? And then my follow-up question to that is, because of rotational patterns, do you think that is anywhere near as important in hockey?
Has Connor McDavid won it all every year?
It feels like that. Connor McDavid's at the top of the list.
But like, does his team win it all every year?
No.
So like, you can have that guy that is really good
for sure.
And you probably, Brett Hull, you wanted to add that to the Stars team. No, man, this is, I think, the most important thing when it comes to hockey is having lines that think the same way, that approach it the same way. Like, if you're going to be a physical line, you're a physical line, and everybody on that line knows it. I don't really think that in hockey you have to have that one specific guy, because so many different names can pop up on the stat sheet and be a factor. And hell, a tip-in could really be the difference. And I know Pavelski is like an expert at it, and I've seen Sagan get even better at it too. But like those little bounces of the ball are very different. In the NBA, it's designed that way. You have to have that dude to build around. And what makes it tough is you have that dude, and then you don't have the finances to actually be able to build around, because you had to spend all the money on that dude.
And you know what? I saw somebody else go, just give it another second. Wyatt Johnston is that dude.
He's great, man.
But to your point, Corey, it doesn't feel anywhere near as important in hockey because of how much the flow of play changes, and how you're going to see, a basketball game, maybe your top guy will go 40, 42 out of 48 minutes, maybe more in the playoffs. But in hockey, now you're probably talking about maybe 20 to 22 minutes out of the 60 or something in that range.
Well, in the goalie part too, somebody texted that.
That's
in,
a good
Kevin.
point.
You need a good goalie.
We got
and
one.
we did see
Yep.
an era of the great goalies, right?
Sure.
The Dominic Hasek's, the Eddie Belfours, the Patrick Waws. That was a time.
God, what a time
But you still have to have the team in front of those guys to be able to do it, because the goalie, he doesn't do it on his own.
And that's why I think I go back to, it definitely feels like the Stars. Like, if you told me right now the Mavericks will make it to the Western Conference Finals, my response is going to be, oh, great. I'm glad that the playoffs were looking really good and it went well. If you tell me the Stars make it to the Western Conference Finals, I'll be like, and then what happened? Because that's kind of the expectation.
Yeah.
That might be too high of an expectation for any team, but it feels like when you look at the depth on the line, when you look at the depth defensively that this team has that maybe hasn't been there as much the last several years, you look at the goalie, you look at the hot shot scores they've got. The Stars feel like a team that are at the top now or near the top, will be at or near the top in a month, in 2 months, and come the time of the playoffs.
I do still question, and I'm going to have to see it at some point, if they're tough enough. I think they're a tough group, like, totally, okay? But you go up against a team that just decides they're going to be tougher that night, is that going to be a factor? And can the Stars overcome that? They're attacking right now, man. Like, they look, we're going at the net. Good luck stopping us. But if it comes down to, hey, we got a guy that's tougher than your guy, where are they in that respect? And last year, we saw it. The Stars were able to overcome the Wild. They got past that. But I guess you saw Dumba last night too, and you were like, hey, was that the first time you've seen Dumba this season?
I
can't remember.
know about that.
But the whole idea of, can you have that one dude that says, I will punish, and it's going to be a punishment if you go after our guys? I know that doesn't quite exist the same way in hockey anymore, but you still have to have some element of that when playoff time comes.
Now, the good news for the Stars, as we talked about yesterday, I want to say, maybe it was the day before, is they continue to be in control of the Central Division. And you want to have it in a position where you're set up well for the playoffs. Not necessarily just in terms of home ice, but in terms of hopefully a more advantageous matchup. But I do realize that Boston might be like, wait on just a second. Don't think that all of your regular season really matters when it comes to the playoffs. But I do think you're seeing a more well-rounded Stars team, or the potential for a more well-rounded Stars team than we've seen in a while. And I do realize they were just in the West Finals. I realized a couple of years before that they were in the Stanley Cup final. I'm not kidding when I tell you this feels like perhaps a more complete Stars team. Yeah,
no, they've done a really good job designing, adding to it over the last. I guess we got to give Nil a lot of credit here. Sure. Is this the first time we give him that kind of credit? Because there was always this thing that you felt was missing, or they felt just short of.
I will admit, I was a critic of Nil at a point when he was picking another coach, because I'm like,
dude, it's been a lot of coaches.
Yeah, and I realized one of those situations, perhaps not as much in their control, but I was like, why does the same guy get to keep picking the coach when we don't feel good about how it ends up? But clearly the last several years of the Stars have been freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I will finally, I guess, give him that credit. It took some time. He's had this job for a while, but he's built something that is now not just a couple of years that you're going to be like, wow, that was really good for a couple of years. It looks like it's going to be something that you're going to be a big fan for a long time. Kevin, I wanted to ask real quick though, too, because we were talking about basketball and hockey being do you need the stud in hockey?
Sure.
Do you need the stud in basketball? You do. Baseball's very similar to hockey in that respect, because
Agreed.
You need Corey Seager,
Agreed.
but you also need Adolis.
Yeah.
You need
and the pitcher.
because you just saw the Angels, and they were like, we'll just throw all sorts of guys out there. They had the two best dudes.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get anything done. So, that's another sport where it doesn't really matter in that.
This could be something really fun to look forward to. Is everyone around here loved the Winter Classic? It felt like not just a hockey game, but it was
when
an
it was
event.
Here?
Yeah, and it was a happening. The NHL is looking to play a game in Mexico City, and I was reading a story in the Dallas Morning News, is the Stars are anxious to try to get in on that, not only because of proximity, but because of their big Hispanic fan base in Dallas. They were like, hey, we're a natural to play in this game. So just keep an eye out for that.
That's awesome.
The Stars are like, hey, we would like to be in that game if it does take place in Mexico City.
You want to go?
Hell Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Let's do a show trip. Let's have the boss send us down there.
We should probably wait until they schedule it first.
Let's go ahead and get tickets now.
Okay,
I already bought them. Look, I'm online right now. Getting my plane ticket.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll change by next week.
What's the date you're getting the plane ticket for? Just so I can be aware.
Winter Classic time.
Okay. So in like a month and a half?
Yeah.
Would this all be set up and done?
I'm hoping, Winter Classic time, bro.
I'm afraid
I just get excited about trips,
terrible
man.
news for you.
I get excited about
I think
trips.
It's going to be ready by then.